Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Sorry, I got distracted because I remembered that I had a little espresso. Fuck, that's good. All right, so if you're new, my name is Alex. So the reason that I'm doing this video today is because most of you requested it actually on my last concealers, best concealers for dark circles video. My camera's not completely straight and it's really bothering me. Anyway, it was highly requested. People were asking me like what color corrector I used, and I kind of wish that I had talked about that in that video. I didn't even mention. So today I wanted to share with you some color correctors that I have used and what to look out for, what colors to look for. Just basically, we're just gonna go over it. We're gonna talk about it. So when you apply concealer, and I think it was actually very clear in my concealers for dark circles video, when I put down each shade, you could still see some of the like darkness coming through and it looked very gray. So the color corrector warms up this area so that when you put the concealer down, everything looks nice and flush. So I don't know if you could, like really can tell when you squint at this. This is a trick that I talk about a lot, and I think it's more, comes from like an artist background. My parents were always telling me to do this. If you squint, I'm not gonna do it, but if you squint here, you can kind of see that like this area of my skin looks more, there's more warmth to it. And this ends up being like much more cool toned. Basically what we're doing is putting the warmth back into this area to balance it out. So we're putting a layer of like a warm shade underneath the concealer that's going to show through the concealer so that you don't end up having that like gray cast. I hope that makes sense. It is kind of like when you do an underpainting in all green and then you glaze skin tone over it. Painters, any painters out there? That is the theory behind it, and it has really helped me with concealing, because before I was doing this, I feel like I was putting down so much concealer and I was making the mistake of putting down like a shade that seemed to work and then applying an even lighter shade in this area, and it just made me look so dead. It wasn't doing what I wanted it to do. So we're gonna go through the whole process, but I wanted to share with you some color correctors that are great options. So this is the one that I use. This is by Ben Nye. I believe this is called, now I'm pretty sure I bought this shit on Amazon. So it's called the Total Cover All Wheel, I believe. Total Cover All Wheel. And then it has the number 100 on it, SK100. So I'm hoping, I don't know if that means skew or what, but I think this is like the lightest cover all wheel. And the reason that I got it originally is because it has a lot of really nice olive tones in it. You can see especially this shade right here, super olive. And I needed things for concealing like breakouts on my face. But then I started using this peachy shade up here because it just worked so, the formula was so nice. It was really thick and pigmented, but it wasn't too sticky or anything like that. It really just like went under my concealer really nicely. So I use this wheel quite a bit to conceal areas of my face. I use different shades underneath my eyes. Sometimes I mix like this shade with this shade, some, you know, whatever. It's very versatile. That's what I really like about these. And they're excellent if you're a makeup artist. So I know they have like a bunch of these. If I can find it, I'm gonna link it down below. It wasn't easy to find, but in my personal opinion, this is the best formula for a color corrector. Obviously I haven't used all of them. There are a bunch out there that I need to try. The one by Nikita Dragon, Dragon Beauty, I hear is amazing. So I really do want to give that one a shot. But this is the one that I'm going to be using today. These ones by BH are fantastic. BH Cosmetics has really great concealers. Actually, I'm so sorry. I can't believe that I didn't even include this in my last video. They have great concealers for olive skin. Fantastic, and they're definitely full coverage. They're called the Total Coverage Concealer by BH. These are the color correctors, I believe. So this one is the peach corrector, and then this one is pink corrector. The reason that I have two of them here is because the peach one is very, it's like a burnt orange shade. It's like very dark for me. So if you are like, I don't know, it really depends on your preference, I guess, but like I would say medium to medium deep skin, this would work for. This is just like too dark for me. So I mix it with the pink one, which I don't really know what a pink can, this is way too icy. Like this is just a straight up like pink shade. But when I mix them, I can create my like perfect, like peachy color correcting shades. So the pink helps to kind of like lighten it. So I like having both of them because I can, you know, tone it down or I can make it like more warm or more intense. But this is a really, really nice formula. It's very full coverage and it goes underneath concealer really well, and it's BH Cosmetics, so it's super affordable. I will just say quickly, I do have a code with BH. It's Alexandra, and you can get 10% off if you on any BH product. So that also helps make them a little bit cheaper. But these are fantastic. So I wish that then they do have fantastic concealers for olive skin, because I know I got so many comments on that being like, I have olive skin too and I'm super pale. So you should check out their shades. I don't even know if I should talk about this. I only have 3 to talk about, I guess, but this Clinique Beyond Perfecting Super Concealer, this is in the shade Apricot Corrector. I really love the shade of this, and I purchased this because my Cover All wheel, I don't know, I was getting into correctors. I don't know if you saw when it came out, it's very liquidy, and when I touch it, it literally feels like a serum, and it kind of like, it just gets very, very thin. The color is perfect. Like the color would be fantastic for underneath my eyes, but it just doesn't do it. Like I put it down, and then when I go in with my concealer, I feel like I remove so much of the product. So it just doesn't really do the job. So a trick that I like to do every once in a while is I will, because these tend to be a little bit lighter, I'll take a tiny bit of this and just put it in one of the pans and then mix it up with a brush so that I can kind of like manipulate the color, and then this doesn't go to waste. But this on its own, the formula just doesn't cut it. That's an option if you feel like you have a product that you like really like the color and you want to make it work. Think about mixing, I don't know. All right, so now I want to show you how I use my color corrector. So you can see all of this darkness in here. I get it like, well, I mean, I have it all around my eyes, but especially like in this inner corner, and then it goes into like the hollow of my eye. And then I have quite a bit of darkness like in this area as well. So something to keep in mind is that you want to be placing the color corrector in the area that is dark and try to focus it there as much as possible. So using tiny brushes is really helpful. Tiny brushes, I'm always talking about tiny brushes. I use a multitude of different brushes. It really depends on like what I have clean and handy. So when I apply it, typically, it depends, honestly, it depends on how much I want to put down. So I'll use a fluffier brush if I'm going for a more like, I just want a little bit of color corrector and I'm going for like a more natural look. If I'm going for like full glam, then I like to apply it first, oh shit, I can't even read this, with the MAC 240S. I think it says 240S. It's this little flat concealer brush. And so I'll use this to apply it to like the dark area, and then I'll blend it out with another brush. But if I'm just going in with like a light dusting, then I like to use a brush that's like sort of blending brush. This Morphe brush is a good example. So just like a small blending brush. I'll just kind of like put it on the tip and then blend it out. The brush that I usually use is by Sigma. It's one of the precision blending brushes. I'll link it down below. This is a new ColourPop E19 brush. This would actually be perfect as well. So just place a little bit of that in there, and then I go in with like a tiny bit of concealer. But when I do full glam, I like to apply it with this brush. So I'm going to be using this shade right here, which is the peachiest shade and the most used shade in this palette. And I'm going to place it. Now I have creases underneath my lower lash line. A lot of you were asking me why I don't bring my concealer all the way up when I conceal. And it's because I already have all these creases. So no matter what product I put there, whether it's a self-setting or a non-creasing concealer, it's gonna crease, like it's just gonna happen. So I try to focus the product lower than that because that's where I put my eyeshadow anyway. So I don't really need the product up there anyway. It just kind of ends up getting like built up and cakey. So I would like to focus the product lower, and I'm only putting it in the area where it's dark. So I like to kind of focus it right here, in there, and I'm trying to keep it like far away from this area, and then I'll put like a little bit right there just because I get some darkness right there. Then I will go in, a lot of the time I use this brush by Bdellium Tools. This is the 788 brush, and it's just like a little angled brush, and I'll just pat, and you'll see how it like already brightens up under the eyes, but like the color obviously isn't right for a concealer. So it does do some concealing, but it would look weird if we just like left it like this, you know what I mean? Flatten out your creases. So I like to do a patting motion because it retains the coverage. If you swipe at all, you're gonna end up with streaks and it's going to like remove a lot of the coverage. And I'm also kind of like gently, because it's on your face, don't do it hard, but gently pulling downward so that I'm not getting it up in my creases. And then I'll just kind of like feather in this area. So that's a little more seamless. You can see like it already has concealed quite a bit of my dark circles, and you can see that nice warmth that we have. Let's use our Tarte shade. Oh no, you know what? Let's use, actually, I think this might be too dark a tiny bit, but let's just fucking do it. So I'm gonna show you using the new L'Oreal Infallible Full Wear Concealer, which I have been loving ever since that video. However, one of you said that it caused you to break out. So I'm like, I only use it under my eyes, and I haven't seen anything yet. We're keeping an eye on it. So I'm gonna go in with a little bit of this. And then I'm using my little trusty sponge. And you also, a lot of you also commented about how I take it up the sides of my nose, and I don't take it like super far or super close to my under eye. And that's because this is the area that I conceal. Like this is the area that I highlight when I'm doing my makeup. So bringing it along the sides of my nose not only is going to help make my nose appear straighter and thinner, but it also helps the concealer, all of this area, just look seamless. So that's why I do that. So I'm trying not to take it up too high. Don't want to take it up into my creases. So now you don't see that like gray tone that was coming through that you probably saw in my last video. I did want to point out that this side of my face, the darkness is a little bit more obvious because I have a little bit of a bump on my nose right here. So it makes this area come through and it makes this area look more deep. So just keep that in mind. You may have noticed that. I noticed it in my video when I was comparing concealers. This side ended up making concealers look a little bit less like effective. So keep in mind that like faces aren't completely symmetrical. Mine sure as hell is not. So now I want to show you this side without the corrector, just to compare. So the coverage on this concealer is so good. Like I love this concealer and it works beautifully on its own, but you can see that like gray that's coming through. You know what I mean? So like the before and after with this concealer, it does such a nice job concealing. It's like fantastic on its own. But if you compare it to this side, you can see how the warmth that we put underneath this eye just makes this whole area look so seamless rather than having this like little gray ring right there. So that's basically the reasoning behind color corrector. If you are full coverage, like if you need full coverage, rather, you want to look for something that's going to be kind of a little bit more thick. I love the Ben Nye wheel. The BH Cosmetics color correctors are fantastic and super affordable and way more accessible than the Ben Nye wheel. In fact, I would probably recommend those the most simply because of their accessibility. Like I'm pretty sure you can get them at Ulta. When picking the right shade, like for example, the fact that I mixed these two, and I said that this shade was much darker for me, it's probably way better for someone who is like tan, medium, deep, like going in that direction. Someone with a much deeper skin tone. The pink color correctors, I don't really find a use for other than mixing with this because it's very icy. It's not really like warming up my skin, so I never really use pink color correctors, but these two together makes a fantastic shade for underneath my eyes. And I also like the fact that I can mix them and manipulate it depending on like my skin tone, whether I'm fair or if I've like self-tanned or something. They're also just like fantastic for working artists because you can mix and whatever. But when it comes to picking a shade for your skin tone, keep in mind like the value of your skin. And when I say the value of your skin, I mean, I'm gonna use that little trick again. Squint at these. Which one looks darker? Like this is darker. Now squint at these. Which one looks darker? They're pretty close, right? So that's the value. That's the value that I'm talking about. So you want the value of your color corrector to be not too much darker than your concealer because it's just gonna end up making like your concealer way darker and it's gonna show through way too much. So make sure that it's like you're getting enough warmth, that it's not too cool toned like this, but that it works for your actual skin tone. So hold it up, like mix it, hold it up to your, like mix up a little bit on the back of your hand, hold it up to your skin, kind of squint at it and be like, is that way too dark? Is that way too bright? Is it going to like show through way too much? It's gonna take some trial and error. I highly recommend mixing. I think things straight out of the tube a lot of the time are not going to work. And you might be able to get them really, really close, but you can get it so much closer if you mix it. All right, guys, I hope that this video was helpful. I think I covered everything. I know that I haven't tried like all of the color correctors out there. So if you are someone with dark circles and you have a color corrector that you like swear by, and it's a nice thick formula, let me know in the comments down below. If you try the Dragon Beauty one, please tell me what you think. Because for whatever reason, like it's pretty dark, so I'm a little like hesitant. And for some reason, I feel like it's gonna be kind of similar to the Clinique one where it's like a little too thin, but it's also Nikita. So I feel like maybe it'll be like really intense. I don't fucking know, I don't know. Anyway, I hope that this video was helpful. Let me know what you thought in the comments down below. I'd be happy to do a part 2 to my testing concealers video. Let me know which ones you wanna see because I got a lot of suggestions. I have like all these browsers up on my whatever of like the Jouer, the Jeffree Star concealer. So I would be happy to do a part 2. Let me know what concealers you would wanna see in that when I'm doing the back-to-back. Also, just for people who are still here, because I realize that this video is probably gonna be pretty long, I wanted to give you a quick filler update because I did have a lot of people asking that as well. I did get, I don't know what it was called, Restylane, I think. I got under eye filler like, I don't know, a year and a half ago now, probably. I went 3 times to even it out. So the first time, like you see the results, they look like fantastic immediately, and then the product kind of settles in your skin and you have to kind of like even it out. So I went 3 times, and for whatever reason, this side, you can probably see when I squint like that, there's like a little like dimple right there. I don't know, maybe it's not. Yeah, you can see more like that way. No, wait, maybe it was this side. No, this side was better. Anyway, I have not gone back. I decided to just let it like dissolve as much as possible. It's not completely gone. And right now I'm kind of thinking like, do I want to just dissolve it or do I want to like do a little more research, maybe go somewhere else? I have been thinking a lot about like how long this product has been out there, how long people have been using it, and what the long-term effects will be. So that's something that like I probably should have considered a lot more before I did it. And now I'm kind of like, I just want to take my time researching, and I would recommend to all of you that you talk to your doctor like a lot. Like find someone who you really trust, ask a lot of questions, grill them, and do your research. Like find out what any negative side effects are, blah, 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 whatever. I feel like this is still a fairly new phenomenon, and I don't know. We don't have any examples of people who have had this who have grown to like 80, you know, who've had this in their face. So just keep that in mind. I'm still kind of like figuring out where I am right now and what my complete opinion is on it. But I just wanted to let you know that. And that's it. All right, guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to leave me your suggestions in the comments down below, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.